What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got some new lovely cards from EB1 we need to be having a little bit of a look about. And I'll be honest with you, these were revealed in a YouTube video, and I've not seen translations of these anywhere else, so I'm flying blind with this. However, just to be clear, I've been learning Japanese for a few years now. I have done the translation myself for a while, and though I usually check with somebody else, I really don't think I need to for this. I am extremely confident about these translations, so yeah, I haven't checked with anyone. I just translated them myself. And I'm honestly kind of delighted that I can say that. And we're going to start off with a dual character card here. We've got Kid and Killer. For anyone that's wondering, it is that way round. It is Kid and Killer, not Killer and Kid. I'm sure if this was real life, they'd be arguing over who got their name first. But the point is, they're both on here, and this is a card which could end up being very, very nice. Now, we've only seen a couple of dual cards so far, as in cards featuring more than one character, but we know that really the only change from a regular card here is that they are going to have two traits in the top right hand corner, and that is exactly what we see here. We have got both a slash and a hit character, and come on ladies and gentlemen, you can probably figure out which one here is which. And we've got a couple of skills. It would be a bit weird to have, you know, a dual character with only one skill. That frankly seems a little bit rude. So what we got here, first of all, is Rush. It is a character with Rush. It can attack the turn you play it, which actually seems kind of good. 4 cost, 5,000 power with Rush. Now, of course, it's worth pointing out that we have a red 5,000 power character with Rush and no counter that sees a bunch of play, and that is, of course, well, Zoro from OP01. OP01 Zoro does this, and OP01 Zoro has done this for a while now. It's a card that sees a huge amount of play, and is a free cost. So if that's a free cost, 5,000 power with Rush, and this is a 4 cost, 5,000 power with Rush, we are going to need something more here. This isn't enough. Well, the good news is, we absolutely do. When attacking, if your opponent has 2 or less life remaining, this character gains 2,000 power. It's a late game character. Now, before your opponent's got 2 or less, when they got 3 or more life remaining, well, honestly, you're 4 cost 5,000 power with Rush, which, as I've told you, is objectively just worse than Zoro. But when your opponent, you know, the second they go down to 2 life remaining, all of a sudden, this gets a lot more fun. Because now, all of a sudden, you're a 4 cost 7,000 power. And look, I've said many, many times, 5,000 is a real key point here. Because 5,000 is the point where, like, most leaders have 5,000 power, and the tie goes to the attacker. So 5,000 is the lowest point where you can essentially expect to get an attack through or force your opponent to block or counter against your majority of leaders that are 5,000 power. And yes, I'm aware that some of them are a bit bigger. I do understand that. But my point is, once you go up to 7,000 power, well, that's actually huge. Absolutely huge. And you know what? When I'm left with a 4 cost 5,000 power that turns into a 7,000 power and has Rush, yeah, I'll take that, ladies and gentlemen. I will take that very nicely indeed. And this might be a good point to remind you guys about the Luffy leader, which I suppose doesn't really narrow it down very much. We've had a bunch of Luffy leaders. I am referring to the one from OP01, which is going to activate main once per turn, pay 4, set up to one of your Supernovas or Straw Hat Crew type characters with a cost of 5 or less active. It gains 1,000 power during this turn. Now, one thing which is really important to note, this new Kid and Killer is a supernova, which is very important, so can be set active with this skill. And also, it doesn't say once per turn. It just says, when attacking, if your opponent has 2 or less life, this character gains 2,000 power. Oh, it's this turn, I should say. That's very important to note. This turn, this character gains 2,000 power. Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous. Because now you play this, your opponent's got 2 or less life, it's a 7,000 power character with Rush. Brilliant. But if you then use Luffy to restand it and attack again, it goes from 7 to 8 with Luffy's skill, and then 8 to 10 when your skill kicks in a second time, and now all of a sudden you're attacking twice in one turn, the turn you play it, once as a 7k, once as a 10k. Yeah, that's a little bit absurd. Not the only new card we've had a little bit of a look at, though. We've also got ourselves a new... is it T-Bone? It is T-Bone, a character I forgot even existed, if I'm honest with you. It is one of the Navy characters, so my apologies. But I've remembered it now. It is T-Bone. And we've got a 5-cost, 5,000 power, counter plus 2,000, which is pretty nice, honestly. That seems good to me. And we've got on play, KO one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. Cool. That's all right. I mean, this fits in with what black decks like to do, honestly. Like, if you look at Kobe from OPO2, sees a bunch of play. On play, trash a card from your hand and KO a character with a cost of 3 or less. Well, here it is a cost of 2 or less, but you don't have to trash something from your hand, and you've got counter plus 2,000. Also, you are Water 7 and Navy. Now, that's very important because, not unlike Kobe, you are searchable with stuff like Branu, which, of course, is your Navy searcher, which, I mean, black decks play Navy nowadays. Like, that's what they do. If you look at all these Sakazuki deck lists that are doing the rounds at the moment, Sakazuki is, like, the best deck in the game right now, and there's not really much competition. I mean, there are other good decks, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there aren't other good decks. I'm just saying if you look at all the data coming out of tournaments, Sakazuki is clearly number 1. And Sakazuki loves playing the Navy package. So this seems like it could fit in there. It doesn't strike me as an absolutely essential card. And as a 5 cost, there's a real downside compared to something like Kobe, because it is a 5 cost rather than a 3 cost, which is a little bit of a problem. But you know what? You're KOing a 2 cost rather than a 3 cost, which is obviously annoying. But the fact that you don't have to trash a card from your hand, and yes, I know sometimes you do want to with black, but not all the time, the fact that you're more powerful, and the fact that you've got counter plus 2,000, that all adds up to a very nice character. Because the reality of the situation is, sometimes when you're using stuff like Branu, what you really want, your main goal here, is just to get a counter plus 2,000 to stave off an attack. Well, this will do that quite nicely, while also giving you a decent KO skill. I like it very much indeed. Now, there is also a new event card here, and these are awkward, because I'm really good at translating One Piece cards nowadays. The vast majority of them are quite simple, because there's a lot of repeating patterns. And I'm not looking for patterns, I'm reading them, but it's still much easier. Once you've read a bunch of cards, you see the same things popping up over and over, and it does get a lot easier as you go. And then event cards come in and you have to actually try and read the title. I'm pretty sure this is Gum Gum Champion Rifle. And I googled Gum Gum Champion Rifle, and that is apparently an attack that Luffy's used in the past. So I'm calling it Gum Gum Champion Rifle and just assuming it's correct. As always, if you've got a better interpretation of the name of this card, would be more than happy to hear about it in the comment section. But for now, I'm going for Gum Gum Champion Rifle, and I feel pretty good about it. So what we got here is a 1-cost event card. It's got counter. If you have an Impel Down leader, then your leader or up to one of your characters gets 2,000 power for this battle. And then afterwards, you get to return one of your opponent's active characters to their hand. Any active character goes back to their hand with the 2,000 swing as well, or the 2,000 counter. That's really, really good. And it is important to note here that your opponent returns one of their active characters to their hand. So look, you get one of their active characters off the board, absolutely. You get the plus 2k, absolutely. You don't get to choose which character, although there will be times where your opponent only has one active character, in which case this is awesome, because then you essentially are choosing because it's the only one. But of course it's a blue event card that only really works with Impel Down, so what options do we have here? Well, because we've got to go blue, we got Emporio Ivankov from OPO2, and then we got Hannibal from EBO1. Nobody should be surprised, incidentally, by the fact that this works very nicely with a new leader from EBO1. That's kind of the point here. This is very specifically a card which is being given to boost Impel Down in a set where we get a new Impel Down leader. This is just the way it works. It's a very, very deliberate thing. And of course, Hannibal is dual color blue and purple. So you know what? Yeah. This will work quite nicely. This is a very cool card. There is also a trigger here whereby you choose up to one cost-free or lower character and return it to the bottom of its owner's deck. Could be one of yours, probably going to be one of your opponents. So, you know, it's classic blue in that you are removing characters from the field and playing a bit of keep away and all of that. That is what blue tends to do, but you also get yourselves a lovely counter as well, which is kind of lovely. And yeah, this strikes me as a very, very cool card. Now, they did also go and reveal some super rares. We've already looked at them. We got worse versions of them, unfortunately, previously, including the, and I think it's a really good card, the Miss Wednesday, the one that's got blocker and all of that. But we talked about this the other day. It's a cool card. I like it. We have a better look at it now than we did before. But unfortunately, it's not actually a new card. It's just a better look at one we saw the other day. A little bit sad. For those of you that have forgotten, it's got blocker, which is pretty gosh darn nice. But then also, on your opponent's attack once per turn, Don -1, if your leader's type includes Baroque Works, add up to one Don card from your Don deck and set it to active. So yay! That's a very, very cool card. But we talked about that one the other day. We don't need to go into that too much more. So there we go. We got a new dual character card, which I love very much indeed. And it does strike me as a very good card. T-Bone, I've remembered, exists and has a card. Yeah. And then we got an event card, which, if you're playing Ivankov or Hannibal, is going to go down very, very nicely indeed. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about these cards. Tell me how much you like them. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at LaWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching WasiPlays.